हम आवाज नहीं आ रही।
Wait, we'll start very soon.
Suraj Barela, please
Yes, sir.
mute your mic.
All the attendees kindly ensure that you have muted yourself.
Good morning to one and all. With the Rao sir's permission, I'd like to start today's program.
Yes, sir. More, sir, can we start? Kotapalle, ma'am.
Yes, sir, we can start.
For sure.
Anusri, please start it now.
Yes, sir. A very warm good morning to one and all present over here. I, Anushri Deshmukh from BLLB First, welcome you all on the behalf of MLNG Society, Manikchand Pahade Law College, Aurangabad. Today, we all are gathered here for a very special occasion conducted by Law Lecture Series and National Service Unit, which organizes a special lecture on the eve of Marathwada University Nam Vistar Din as Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad, on the topic of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, a legal luminary. Now, I cordially welcome our today's resource person, Professor Dr. Aparna Kotapalle ma'am, Professor of Law, IQAC Coordinator at MP Law College, Aurangabad. I also welcome our President of the program, our esteemed Dr. C.M. Rao sir, Principal of MP Law College, and our Vice Principal sir, Shri Kishan Morris. Now, I request our Coordinator of Law Series Lecture Series, Mr. Abhay Jadhav sir, to give an introduction of today's program.
A very warm good morning to one and all. Let me wish we all a happy Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University Nam Vistar Din. As we know all that we have arranged this special lecture in order to commemorate and in order to celebrate the special day which we called it as University Nam Vistar Din. Way back in 1994, on the same day, 14 January 1994, our university, our home university was renamed and it was given the name of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Before 1994, our university was known as Marathwada University. And the people from this region, they had a great, we can say, revolution. They fought for getting the name of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar as a name to our university. It was a struggle of almost 18 years, which started way back in 1976. And we should know why should the name of Bharat Ratna Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. We know very well that he is not only the chief architect of our Indian Constitution. What I feel and when I see what he was not, he was a great philosopher, he was a great political leader, he was a great lawyer, he was a great economist. What he was not, and more than this, he was a great human being. And to get the name of this person, Bharat Ratna Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, we struggled hard for getting the name of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. But ultimately, in the year 1994, on the same day, 14 January, our Maharashtra government has given the name to this university as Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University Din. And that is why today we are celebrating in our college this day. Every year we celebrate this day. Today, the law lecture, being in charge of the law lecture series, along with our national service scheme, we have jointly organized this special lecture. Today we have with us a person, I must not call her as a chief guest, our senior, our mentor, our IQAC coordinator. Today she is the resource person for the same, and she would be interacting with us on the Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, a legal luminary. I know that you all are very eager to listen her. Just once again, I wanted to convey my regards and wishes for all of you for celebrating this Naam Vistar Din. And I expect that we will go and we will follow the path of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. With this thought, once again, I welcome you all and I stop here in my introduction. Thank you. Over to you, Anish.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm glad to introduce our today's resource person, Professor Dr. Aparna Kothapalli ma'am. Current position, ma'am is Professor and IQAC Coordinator at Manikchand Pahade Law College, Aurangabad. Education qualification, ma'am has completed her LLB from ILS Law College, Pune, Maharashtra, with first class Pune University in the year of 1999. Then she completed her LLM from Department of Law, Mumbai University, area of specialization, constitutional law and human rights in the year 2001. Ma'am is also net qualified two times in law, year 2005 and 2006. Work experience, ma'am has practiced as an advocate before Bombay High Court, Family Court, City Civil and Corporative Courts in Mumbai till 2000. Teaching experience, ma'am was a visiting faculty during 2002 to December 2005 at MP Law College, VN Patil Law College, Department of PG Studies in Law, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar University, Aurangabad. Now, ma'am is a full-time faculty since 2006 till date at MP Law College, Aurangabad. Research experience, ma'am has completed her PhD on the topic of critical analysis of law relating to domestic violence against women in India from Bharatiya Vidyapit University, Pune, awarded in the year 2010. She has also completed her media research project on of working consumer forums in Maharashtra state, funded by Ministry of Consumer Affairs through IIPA, New Delhi in the year of 2013. She is recognized a guide for PhD, 2 students awarded, and others are pursuing PhD under her guidance. Publication and participation in academic endeavors, she published 10 articles in reputed national and international peer-reviewed UGC care listed journals and more than 15 articles published in seminar and conferences proceedings. She has also participated in various states and national seminars, conferences, workshops in different capacities such as paper presentator, resource person, chairperson, coordinator, etc. He has one edited book, The Status of Human Rights During the COVID-19, is published with the ISBN number. She has acted as an invitee on the editorial board of the publication of Government College, Aurangabad. Ma'am has been awarded by the Devgan Mehta Foundation Award 2017, Professor Indira Parikh Foundation 2018, and Lions Club Ideal Teacher Award 2019. It is such an honor to have such a dynamic lady as a professor in our college. Now I request Aparna Kothapalli ma'am to enlighten us with today's topic.
Respected principal sir, vice principal sir, coordinator of the event, NSS coordinators, and all the student participants and my esteemed faculty members. Actually, I feel honored to speak about Babasaheb because Babasaheb is one who made us, who enabled us, who empowered us, due to whom I am here in front of you. And hence, I feel privileged. I feel very proud speaking about Babasaheb. yesterday when we were discussing, that is principal sir, vice principal sir, even Jadhav sir, that what would be the area on which I would be speaking about. And then with this general discussion, whether it would be just what kind of responsibility we should shoulder, because our institution, rather our university is named with the great legendary, or something else. And then I found it necessary that why not to discuss with our law students about how a legendary personality Dr. Babasaheb was as a legal persona. And of course, I would be abiding with the words of Principal Sir, who had guided me, that talk something about the responsibilities of the students, the manner in which we could improve the academic ambience, not only of this institute, but all, rather the name and fame that this university has. How can we enrich, how can we improve the name for with our own actions? And hence I would be talking to you about Dr. Babasaheb as a legal luminary. But then before proceeding ahead, wherein I would be talking about his journey towards bar at law, practice, how he has practiced, little bit about, just glimpses I would be providing, because I have to give justice to all those areas within 1 hour's time. Then as a law minister, what is his contribution? Then the area, chairman of drafting committee, generally we all know. And how Babasaheb is to be understood as an Indian jurist. We would further be talking about the scenario, today's scenario, contemporary situations in India, and Babasaheb, and what expectation Babasaheb had about law students. But prior to that, let me talk a little bit about this Nam Vistar Din. As very correctly pointed out by Professor Abhay Jadhav sir while introducing the event, that this Namantar process took too long. Actually, it was in the year 1977 when our then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Vasantdada Patil, had promised that Dr. Babasaheb's name would be there to our university. And even in 1978, the Maharashtra legislature had approved it. But then, maybe there were many misconceptions in the society. One may say that the society was not awakened. The society was not aware of what Babasaheb is. What kind of honor this institute, that is our Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, will get after naming his name to the institute, that is to the university. And hence, unfortunately, many riots occurred in India, occurred in Maharashtra especially, which affected almost 1,200 villages. Maybe that time, dear students, you might not have even been born. But then this is the history which we need to recollect. 1,200 villages were affected, more than 25,000 people who suffered injuries, they were hurt, their huts were burnt. Why? Because there is a rift. That rift that time existed amongst so-called upper caste and our Dalit brothers and sisters. Why am I referring to those words? I'm referring to those words because we all have taken a pledge during our school time that we all, that is India, we Indians are brothers and sisters. So this history, when we look back to the history, we need to learn that something that has went wrong in past, riots which were not good for the interest of the society, that have occurred. But looking back to the history, we need to know that certain activities we must not indulge in, and hence giving you a reference of those negative aspects that have happened in our society, wherein many people were, rather they went to jungles for their safety, they have not returned back for a long time. People lost the requirements of for their sustenance. This is a reality. And then the responsibility lies on us that we must not indulge in such kind of activities, never. And especially when some positive changes, some reforms that are occurring in our society for the good of society. Now, it was in the year 1994, that is 14th January 1994. It was a golden day in the history of Marathwada region, wherein our university, which was then named as Marathwada University, was named with the great legendary Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University. My dear students, as majority of them are students, participants today, I would like to appeal you that what happens generally, we call it, when we are talking about our university, we say BAMU. But please keep it in mind, as and when you are giving a formal talk somewhere, when you are having conversation with people in and around, you need to use the word Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, because we are honored with his name, and that feeling of honor must always be there in our mind. I personally feel that when in a formal events, when we use the term BAMU, that feeling does not remain in our mind. So this is just a humble request to everyone amongst us today. Let us proceed ahead with the topic, and basically why I have chosen this particular area. As I was giving you a reference that unfortunate circumstances have occurred in late 70s in our Maharashtra, especially riots. I was giving you a reference. Why? Because there are prejudices in the mind. I'm reminded with the words of Professor Hari Narke, who had said that the real problem lies with people understand Babasaheb as a leader of one community, and people ignore the contribution of Babasaheb in other capacities. He was a brilliant lawyer. He had fought various cases even for the protection of interests of Adivasis. And his contribution as a lawyer, even as a part and parcel of working against the British Raj, that must not be ignored. Sometimes what happens, rather I am reminded with the previous week's event, wherein one of our alumni was interacting with you all. Some questions were raised, like if we get scholarships, we are not having that much of money. But now for all of us, those who are from remote areas join for low, for those who have paucity of funds with them, and of course we must have the ideal figure in front of us. And when we look at the journey of Babasaheb as a bar at law, he was not only bar of law, as we all must know that he was having various degrees like MA, MSc, PhD, LLD, bar at law, DSc, then DLIT, so on and so forth. How could he achieve that? In my opinion, his journey towards bar at law is itself an inspiration for we all. He was not having enough money. That time the problem was about the caste-based discrimination. He had suffered a lot during his early childhood and schooling. I need to communicate it to you that he was the first matriculate from the Elphinstone High School from the caste. He graduated from the Elphinstone College, Mumbai. How could he do that? He was from the downtrodden families. He was having paucity of funds. My dear students, we always have to keep it in mind when our ambition, if our willpower is strong, nothing goes wrong. You will be moved. You will be forced with your inner force. It would be taking you to the right direction, and for which I would suggest you to always keep in front of you the image of Babasaheb. He was having financial crunches, but then he was provided with the assistance from Maharaja from Kolhapur. With his financial assistance, he went there in Columbia University. And again, he further continued his education in London School of Economics. From Gray's in London, he got his barrister's degree, barrister at law. Babasaheb was known as a justice-loving advocate. He was having deep understanding of law and he was really devoted to his profession. I would I'm tempted to give you one additional reference in the beginning, even though we would be talking about Babasaheb as a jurist. But then there are various personalities in our society that there are many who speak, there are many who write, there are many who are working as an activist. Babasaheb was a person who talked to people for carrying out reforms in the society. Babasaheb was a person who wrote many things for reforms in the society, how the ideal society has to be. And he also we could find glimpses in his action. In Marathi, we call it as Bole Taisa Chale, Tachi Vandavi Pahule. So there are many people who generally talk. There are many people who expect from others. But then Babasaheb was a person whom we find not only writing the things, not only speaking to the community, but then in action also. But then why am I giving you this reference? When he completed his education, when he started practicing as an advocate, he wanted to start practicing as an advocate, he was having no money even for his registration. One of his friend, Mr. Naval, he gave, there are references in history that rupees 500 rupees was given by his friend and then he could proceed. So keep it in mind, our friends are our strengths. There were many hurdles in his the journey as an advocate because there were skeptic people around him who were having skeptical attitude. Again, major issue at that particular point of time that we find from the writings was people that time were having more faith on the British advocates. So people from India, if are arguing before the court or practicing in the court as an advocate, comparatively there were great legendaries, no doubt about it. But in general, people, we find a reference that people were having more faith in the British advocate. So this was one of the crunch. Apart from monetary constraints, skeptical attitude of people around and people having more faith in British advocates also were the challenges before him when he started practicing. But anyhow, he could, with his willpower, with his hard work, he could overcome the challenges, and then he established his practice not only in Bombay High Court, but even he practiced in the district court, Thane, Nagpur, even in Aurangabad. We are fortunate enough that the courts in Aurangabad are historic courts that way. So he practiced not only in Mumbai areas or in Bombay High Court, but in district courts also. With this, I would like to tell you, my dear students, that please do not consider that if we practice in the High Court and Supreme Court, then only it matters. No. Justice, for taking your client to the justice, for giving them justice, for helping them reaching the ends of justice, even if you practice in the lower judiciary, then also you will be helping out your society. And thus the mindset of Babasaheb was that I won't be practicing only before the High Court. So he had practiced in different district courts. It is found, it is written, and it is witnessed by many that Babasaheb was very, very generous and liberal towards client. In this materialistic world, in the contemporary society, I suppose this is also one of the teaching with which you have to keep it in mind, dear students. Don't be always materialistic and running behind money. You need to be generous. You need to have a human heart. Everyone is human, but there are many who do not have the human heart. I hope we all are able to understand. Not only the sympathy, but empathy also is very, very essential. He strongly believed that there are certain essential requirements for development of argumentative abilities. as I would just give you a passing reference as quotes, he believed that the knowledge of an individual and how certain things function in the society matters, and the law people, especially the practicing advocates, have to keep that in mind. Then another aspect that on which Babasaheb had emphasized upon was the knowledge of working of the human mind. Unless we know human psychology, unless we know the social psyche, one cannot be good advocate, because law is for society. We are working for the society, and hence we need to have the knowledge about the facts and circumstances, about individual who is reaching to you, and about how the things are functioning in the society. We need to have a knowledge of working of human mind, social mind, which rather the mind which you would be training to draw the logical inferences. And thus Babasaheb was well established as an advocate. I would like to place some glimpses about the cases which were handled by Babasaheb. First case that I am reminded with is Jedhe Zawlikar's defamation case. Okay, they had written a book, Deshache Dushman. Sometimes if you get time, if you have a curiosity, just go on searching for it, and certainly you will get at what exactly the book was, because as I have told you people, maybe we cannot afford spending much time on discussing all the cases in detail, but certainly this is one of the case which needs a special reference of. Now, in this particular case, Babasaheb was not only thorough with the factual situations, he was very thorough with the legal aspects and legal technicalities. We find a reference in the writings of Dhananjay Keer, wherein he specifically has given a reference that how his defense, Babasaheb's defense, Babasaheb Ambedkar's defense was based on the locus. I hope we all the students of law understand the locus. Locus standi is what interest you have for which you are coming to the court. Unless and until you have a locus, court will not entertain you. And on the same point, Babasaheb picked up this particular point, on the basis of which he could give justice, rather who could give assistance to the clients to reach to the justice. Okay, the one who had filed the litigation was not very close relative, rather the persons against whom the book was, they were not alive. The case was about defamation, and then the persons who have reached to the court, they were not very near and dear people of the one against whom the book was written or published, Deshache Dushman. We need to understand, my dear students, that each technicality of law we must be thorough with, whether the person has got a locus standi, whether the court has got jurisdiction. On these issues also, the twisting of the case will happen, and that we have to keep it in mind. This was a case, Jedhe Zawlikar's case of defamation was a case. According to Mr. Dhananjay Keer, this case basically was instrumental in lifting of the reputation of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar as an influential lawyer. There was another case which most of you might be knowing, and that is R.D. Karve's case. He had published, he was publishing Journal of Samaj Swasthya, and for awareness pertaining to the family planning, he had written certain things about the modalities, about the instruments, maybe for maintaining the, rather for going for the family planning. But then he was charged, Mr. Radho Karve, in Marathi we call it as Radho Karve, the son of Dondo Keshav Karve. Those who are from Maharashtra might be knowing about R.D. Karve. And he was charged with the obscenity. But then Babasaheb argued that obscenity or vulgarity does not relate to the content, but the way in which it is being placed before we all. So not only the content, but the context. We need to learn many things from how Babasaheb had argued before the court. There was another case in which he had defended Philip Spratt in the case of sedition. You may refer to those cases, you may read those cases in detail. But then these 3-4 cases which I am placing it before you are just the glimpses, and they are very, very important cases which are recognized as the cases which lifted the image or the reputation of Babasaheb as influential lawyer. He also had defended many cases about trade union leaders, then communist leaders, especially B.T. Randhawa's name or B.T. Karmik's name, we must not forget. Okay, then Mani Ben Kara, Abdul Majid. In many cases, he defended these people and succeeded in demonstrating the loopholes in the Trade Disputes Act. Trade Disputes Act 1929 that time. So what I mean to say herein, as a just a tip for the students, we need to argue on the basis of law points as we understand, as we get from Babasaheb's working as an advocate, that we need to argue on the basis of cases or on the basis of facts, laws, but then again we need to find out if there are any gray areas, if there are any loopholes in the existing laws, so that if it comes to the record later, there would be a possibility of changes as and by way of amendments. Then he had appeared even in case of Maharaja Kapurthala's case, wherein the issue was about challenging the constitutionality of land reforms and zamindari abolition. I find personally it to be very, very interesting, my dear students, because Babasaheb was one of the persons, or rather he was the person, one may say, instead of saying one of the persons, he was the architect of our constitution, and he wanted greatest reforms to occur in India. He wanted to enable those who were landless. He wanted to enable weaker section of the society, for which day in and day out he was working, as we all know. But when it comes to the practice, when it comes to appearing before the court, when someone is reaching to you, he had given his fullest efforts, even if the case was about the issue of constitutionality of land reforms and zamindari abolition. What I mean to make you understand is that we all carry different personalities. Okay, so when we are acting in one personality, in one capacity, we need to give justice to that. And when we are acting in different personality, in different capacity, we need to enhance our capacities, develop the skills, so that we would be able to give justice to that capacity also. And Dr. Babasaheb had proved that a person, if has a will, if he holds the skills, he would be able to give justice to whatever capacities the person is acting, whatever capacities the person is performing the things. Apart from this, we need to know that he could never turn blind on certain facets, certain cases wherein when he appeared for workers, for trade unions, he was knowing the plight of these people. And hence I said in the beginning, when we started talking about Babasaheb as an advocate, I gave you a reference that he was very generous. Basically, he was carrying human heart, and then that's the reason when people study Babasaheb as a legal persona, they understand Babasaheb's personality as a pioneer in human rights lawyering. So amongst us, those who are intending to practice for those who are voiceless people, for those whose wife is curbed due to the situation, those societies, those groups, small communities who are not in the mainstream, if you have a dream that you would be working for them, certainly for you also, Babasaheb is the ideal persona that you must not forget. Considering his efficacy, considering his contribution, he was also invited to be the editor on Bombay Law Journal. Okay, so his role as on editorial board also we have to keep it in mind. He was also understood, he was rather, he is also remembered rather as a legal legendary, as a labor minister. He participated in roundtable conference, talked about living wages, decent working conditions, freedom from exploitation. And we find glimpses at a later stage that how he could change certain situations, how he could, being a law minister later, he could bring the changes. So whatever we find today happening in our society for positive, I'm saying, or the positive changes that have occurred in the legislative enactments, it is not the case that it has happened only at the level of legislative authorities. There are certain efforts as of Babasaheb as a law minister. He introduced the bill in the year 1937 to abolish khoti system, collection of land revenue in Konkan. Now, I understand that some of our students who have joined this event, they are very new to law areas, but then I feel personally that everyone knows certain things that have happened in past, like zamindari, like in intermediary systems, those were prevalent that time, and hence those were the situations in which people peasantry were finding it very difficult to survive with the human dignity and honor because of the intermediary system. More exploitation was there, and hence, as Babasaheb was aware of the fact that this was a situation, he attempted, not only he talked to people, not only he wrote certain things, but then he introduced, he was instrumental in bringing out the bill in the before the legislative forum to abolish this koti system for collection of revenue. Then in the year 1938, mines, then maternity benefit bills. In the 1943, we need to remember his contribution for equal pay for equal work. We must not forget his contribution as a labor minister. He is first law minister of Free India. 1920, sorry, it was, I suppose, 29th August 1947. He became first law minister. He, as we all know, rather, even general public who are not law persons, even they know him as an architect of constitution, because he was basically a member of the Constituent Assembly and he became the chairman of a drafting committee. As we all know how he put his hard work in making of the constitution, introducing equality, liberty, justice, and not only, he more emphasized on the fraternity. We all know basically LLB first year students who have already learned, and of course seniors have learned, but recently joined, maybe BA LLB first year students might not be knowing, but for others it is 2 years, 11 months and 17 days hard efforts placed by Babasaheb and his team, which could bring the dream come true situation for all of us, due to which we could give constitution to we all. If we refer to the speeches of Babasaheb in the Constituent Assembly, I would like to just suggest you, because I would have loved placing the clippings today before all of us, but then due to the inadequacy of time, I am not inclined to do that. I would be just giving you a reference. If you search on YouTube's, it would be available. If you just Google or if you search on other search engines, you will be able to get the speeches of Babasaheb. I would just give you a reference. Please listen to the words of Babasaheb on which he had spoken in the Constituent Assembly, 17th December 1946. 4th November 1948 and 25th November 1949. There are many more speeches, my dear students, to which I could have referred to you. But then I have restricted myself today on Babasaheb as a legal legendary, and hence I won't be giving you any reference today that on which platform he had spoken on what areas. I would have loved talking to that, but then there are limitations. So reminding you all, please read his speeches whenever are available. Please listen to his voice, which would also be very, very inspirational. 17th December 46, 4th November 48, and 25th November 1949. After listening to him, you will come to know what kind of personality he was in reality. He was also instrumental. Of course, this is majority of laypersons also know, and we being the law persons, we need to know something more about it. That is introduction of Hindu Code Bill. We all need to know basically that when we look at the discussions at various platforms of the legislative for the legislative action, I am reminded with the words of K. Munshi, who refers to Hindu law and rather provisions. He finds it very scattered somewhere. Rather, I'm talking about prior to Hindu Code Bill. And then it is just like a jungle wherein various kinds of grass is there. But then maybe huge variety would be there, huge biodiversity would be there. But then what is essential? It is essential to have and to cultivate the society in a particular way whereby the development, positive development, inclusive development will happen without uncertainties, without discrimination. And hence, we must not forget his contribution when he had introduced the Hindu Code Bill. It is considered to be one of the milestones in achieving the ends of human rights. It is understood as it is one of the milestones in achieving the justice for women. And hence, in the beginning, I told you, not only for the efforts that Babasaheb had placed on record for educating everyone, to create social reform, to change the mindset, but even the changes that have been introduced by introducing the code, greatest contribution towards women's enablement, and that we, the folk of India, must not forget. Basically, when the Hindu Code Bill was introduced, it required giving fight against the Varna system, the fight against caste, and basically rule of law. That is, everyone is equal before law and equal protection of law. When we say equal protection of law and equality before law, there must not be any kind of discrimination on the basis of sex also. I won't use the term gender because we could not achieve gender neutral society till now. But then for as a male and female different sex discriminations are happening in our society, this Hindu Code Bill certainly has contributed towards rather minimizing such kind of discrimination. And okay, and I was giving you a reference of how it has enabled, how basically it required to give fight against the prevalent systems. That time it was a paradigm shift when the Hindu Code Bill was introduced. I am reminded with the words of Honorable Shri Yashwant Manohar sir. He mentions about, he has mentioned in his book while writing about Babasaheb and his contribution, he said that the fight which he has given against the system for the change, for introduction of rule of law in real sense, he was attempting to the male ego bubble burst. I hope we are able to understand. In the patriarchal society, Babasaheb wanted to burst the bubble of male ego, and certainly we find with the changing scenario, this bubble has already burst. And of course, we have to work hard more so as to consider, make society understand that yes, they are at par, but then to a great extent, we must say that the change has occurred. Now, while this Hindu Code Bill has been introduced by Babasaheb, what is his contribution? The notion of limited estate that was prevalent in earlier times, he worked hard for removal of that limited estate. And as we all know, being the students of law, now women are not entitled to have the limited estate but absolute estate. Entitlements over Stridhana, matrimonial remedies, that is prohibition on polygamy, restitution of conjugal rights, other rights as a matrimonial rights, and separation, judicial separation. Those all provisions were introduced through this Hindu Code Bill in the matrimonial law, which were not in existence earlier. Let me tell you that when this Hindu Code Bill, prior to Hindu Code Bill, there was a special enactment which was attempted to be created, of course successfully attempted to be created, and that is prohibition on bigamy. At that particular point of time, my dear students, you will be surprised to know that women in Bombay, they took a long march against, they carried out rallies against such kind of legislation. Then Babasaheb asked them that, do you know what is Hindu Code Bill? Why, what would be there inside this Hindu Code Bill? If your husbands are not allowed to marry for the second time, is it not good for you? Whether you people are provided with certain rights as a conjugal right, as a matrimonial right, is it not fair for you? But then these women came to know that, we were not knowing about it. Because please see the history. Till today, I would like to say, many times women are used as puppets for the protection of interests of the male dominated or patriarchal society. We find, I won't be giving you additional references now, but then look at the situation. Is it not the case today that when women are fighting for entering into temples, women are coming forward and saying that, no, we don't want to enter the temple? Not only in Maharashtra I'm talking about, it is at national level happened. We people are aware of the cases that have reached to the court. But then when we look at the circumstances, it is very necessary to look at the past, what has happened. History teaches us. It is said that history repeats. History has repeated, unfortunately, that when certain changes were attempted to be introduced through Hindu Code Bill, it is women who proceeded with morchas against Hindu Code Bill. But they were just made instruments. They were considered to be the puppets in the male-dominated society. They were not knowing for which they are marching ahead. But then, my dear students, I hope we all believe in a gender-neutral society. And then it is on us, being the law persons, it is on us that whatever Babasaheb had dreamed for removal of discrimination, we have to carry his legacy forward. Okay, we all know that even for the co-partnership rights, he had dreamed that daughters will get same share as like son. That could not happen, and everyone in our society knows that he had resigned his post as a law minister for that he could not do that. I won't say that his efforts were not rather not at all useful, but he was a great visionary and society was not having that vision. Whatever he thought of, whatever he visualized the society to be, could be realized in the year 2005, as we all know. And of course, in Maharashtra, we are the progressive state. It happened in 1994, but still the long passage of time has taken up to understand that whatever Babasaheb wanted was really the need of the hour. That's a different story, that what is the situation, whether brothers are really willing to give the rights to their sisters. Okay, some other time we will be talking about it. But then Babasaheb's dream, one may say Babasaheb's dream came true in the year 1994 for Maharashtra and for other states, and in the year 2005 for rest of India. we must not forget Babasaheb's juristic writings. As some other day, we, the faculty members and our respected principals, sir, we were talking about Indian jurists. You are either fond of, oblique, afraid of the subject jurisprudence. Do we have jurisprudence, Indian jurisprudence as such? And then there were differences of opinion. In my personal opinion, we have rich philosophy with us, legal philosophy, I mean to say, and Babasaheb's contribution as Indian jurist must not be forgotten. He has written many things. You just read his books like Annihilation of Caste, Who Were the Shudras, or Bahishkrut Bharat, Mook Nayak, The Untouchables, Riddles in Hinduism, Rise and Fall of Hindu Women. You will find that Babasaheb, who is understood as reformist, Babasaheb, who is understood as a law minister, Babasaheb, who is understood as a great lawyer, advocate, he was also a great jurist. And his contribution as an Indian jurist must not be forgotten by all of us. We need to further remember, understand, know and remember that Babasaheb had worked as a principal of Government Law College, Mumbai. Why am I telling you people? Because being the students and faculty of law, we need to know his academic contribution also. He was of the opinion, being the principal of GLC, when we read his speeches that particular point of time, he was of the opinion that lawyers should possess a correct understanding of fundamental principles. Grounding in general knowledge must be present amongst the budding lawyers. He emphasized upon the art of orderly presentation of the subject. There has to be precision in stating the facts. That is what he made learn the students that time in GLC. Why the name and fame of the GLC was grown up? Because one of the greatest reason is it was Babasaheb Ambedkar who acted as a principal of GLC, with which the name of the GLC was enhanced, with which the students of that institute were benefited because of the efforts taken by Babasaheb to shape the personality of the budding lawyers. He made it clear to the students that the ability to express oneself in a clear language must be there with the budding lawyers. He further expressed, now whatever I'm saying, there are different speeches on different occasions. I'm just providing you the glimpse of what he wanted to communicate to students, how he had molded the personality. And we find the reference that he also communicated to his students that focus on the relevancy of your answers as and when the questions are asked. What I mean to say, maybe formally, whether there were various competitions like moot court, it's a different story. You may study that separately. But then as and when students were coming to him, as and when he had an opportunity to have an interaction with law students, he successfully attempted to shape the personalities of the then students that time to his institute, and communicated importance of having general knowledge, grounding in the society, art of oratory, expression, clear language, relevancy of the answer to the questions that was asked, meaning thereby he was placing high efforts for molding the personalities of the students, to shape the students as budding lawyers. And then we find that yes, there were many advocates who were benefited due to the active role of Babasaheb as principal of the college. Look at his contribution. We're talking about the person who successfully attempted to change the society, who took hard efforts. Maybe there were many challenges in front of him, but still he could get many degrees. he could overcome the challenges, maybe due to public perceptions, due to the sarcastic approach of the society, due to the caste discrimination, but still he could survive. He could not only survive for himself, but he could survive the interest of the whole society. He could enhance, who could boost the weaker section of the society through various capacities. And we must not forget his action as the academician, his contribution as a jurist, his contribution as an advocate, his contribution as a law minister, his contribution as labor minister. We're talking about him just from one corner, one angle, and that is how he was a legal legendary. Why are we talking about him? Because when we consider law, in various facets we can work, we can contribute towards our society. And then Babasaheb becomes inspiration for all of us, and he will be an inspiration for coming generations too. Look at today's scenario. Look at the SC/STs atrocities issues. Can we say that whatever Babasaheb had dreamed has really come true? Do we have a society wherein the interests of SC/ST people, women section, they are really protected? Maybe you will find my statements little pessimistic. I'm not pessimistic. I know the contribution of Babasaheb. I know that society, there are many people who are having now the approach to rather to have the equality of status, opportunity in our society. But then still, this is the day on which we all must understand that the problems are still in existence. Maybe the forms have been changed. And it is the duty on us, being the law persons, to work towards removal of discrimination, changing and molding the minds of people. We need to work hard for protecting the interest of weaker section. We need to work hard for bringing them in the mainstream. We need to work hard even for the workmen's, for the whatever social security laws are there in today's scenario. We need to work hard for its implementation. And let me now tell you something about those aspects which respected principal sir has casted the duty on me, and that is we, the students and faculty who are affiliated to Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, we owe the responsibility to walk on the footprints of Babasaheb. We need to read the content written by Babasaheb. We need to listen to the speeches of Babasaheb. We need to understand that Babasaheb was not a leader of one particular community. And then we need to imbibe the values amongst us that, yes, Babasaheb is a role model for me. I would not be restricting myself to a small community. I would be working for the social empowerment, for empowerment of weaker section, exploited section. I would be a voice for voiceless. I would not run behind money, but I would indulge into a practice in such a way wherein I would be enabling other, and I would be able to make people feel that they have reached the doors of justice. I appreciate the efforts of those students, those groups of students and certain NGOs who arrange for 18 hours study on the birth anniversaries of Babasaheb. I appreciate. But then I need to make you realize, my dear students, it is not sufficient to study one day 18 hours. Look at the life of Babasaheb, who put forth all days and nights for the dream come true, whatever dream he had. And then make a habit that it is not only on the birth anniversary of this great legendary we would be studying 18 hours, but make a habit that we are not getting deviated from our focal point, from the aim that we have to achieve. And with this, I'm also reminded with Babasaheb's words when he used to rather give public speeches, especially for downtrodden people and the gatherings of women. He tried to convince people that we must have big dreams. We don't have dreams nowadays, unfortunately, majority of us. If we strongly believe on the Babasaheb's work, Babasaheb's dream, and Babasaheb as an action, we all are obliged, I must say, we are obliged, we are under the responsibility to have big dreams. And for the fulfillment of those big dreams, we must place giant efforts. When we have big dreams, when we place 100% efforts from our side, certainly the success will reach to you. With this note, I thank my own college for giving me this opportunity to have an interaction with you all. Thank you all for your patient listening. Thank you one and all. I will stop here now. Thank you so much.
Such wise words, ma'am. I'm sure we will take up the points mentioned by you and make our great university proud. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I request our Vice Principal, Shri Kishan More sir, to deliver the Presidential's address.
Thank you, Anushri. Respected Principal, Dr. C.M. Rao, sir. Today's resource person. Today's resource person, Dr. Aparna Kotapalle, Madam, Professor of Law of our MP Law College. And the students who are participating in this special program organized by our college on the occasion of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Maratha University's name expansion program. Dear student, at the outset, I congratulate all of you for being the student of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Maratha University. Dr. Kotapalle Madam, in her speech, have put forth the detailed sketch of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar in the perspective of his contribution as a legal luminary. He had started her talk from the cases which were handled by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar as the lawyer, and he had also given detailed notes on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's contribution in the different welfare laws for the vulnerable sections of our society, maybe workers, women, backward classes, and many. From this speech, what I could learn, considering the present position of these beneficiaries of the law brought by Babasaheb Ambedkar, that particularly these vulnerable sections are not adequately aware about contribution of Babasaheb Ambedkar, and they are behind some spiritual Babas. What I learned from this speech, that they are not emancipated, maybe women or backward classes, they are not emancipated due to the blessing of any spiritual Baba, but contribution of Babasaheb. Baba versus Babasaheb, that is the struggle, I believe, and which has been very nicely narrated by our Professor Dr. Kotapalle Madam. At this occasion, thereby the responsibility comes on our shoulder that to understand Babasaheb in the rights perspective. As a student of law, Madam have very nicely given her talk his contribution as a jurist. Only one thing I can add here, that what were the influences on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar as jurist? Though he was the victim of all the system which were in existence at that time, socially, politically. But he could become the role model for us, the law students. Dear student, the philosophy of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar can be coined into only 4 words that are reflected into the preamble of our Constitution: justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. If you can read his speech, which he had delivered on the All India Radio from Delhi in 1954, he had said that these are foundations of my life, and I have not borrowed this from the French Revolution, but I had borrowed this from Buddha's philosophy. So Buddha has his political, legal thought on the basis of justice, liberty, fraternity, equality. What I believe is that, as Babasaheb had said, that there are these 3 gurus of him: Buddha, Mahatma Phule, and Kabir. Madam have rightly raised the question about the contribution of Indian jurists, and what I believe is that it is this all legal philosophers' contribution that is very great legal thought, legal philosophy given by Buddha or Mahatma Phule or Sant Kabir. They are equally the legal philosophers because they had contributed in the development of this philosophy, and their one of the disciples could become the father of Indian Constitution. On the foundation of their thought, he had built this building of the Constitution, and thereby they had very great contribution in the development of this jurisprudence of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Dear student, we could get this opportunity maybe on the occasion of Babasaheb Ambedkar Maratha University's name expansion program, and every year we celebrate this. We invite different scholars of different subjects, different disciplines at our college when we were organizing this program physically. But today we got this opportunity to invite our own scholar from the field of law in the form of our Kotapalle madam, and she had given very good justice to the topic which we had requested her to talk on. So I again take this opportunity to congratulate you all for being the part of this very important special program on the occasion of Babasaheb Ambedkar Maratha University name expansion program. With this, I can also suggest you to read something about Babasaheb as a lawyer, as a law student. You can refer to the Writing and Speeches, volume number 18, part 3rd, wherein Babasaheb had given some message to the lawyers in the Marathi speech. He had given you one very good message that lawyers should prepare their case very well. Madam had taken the reference from the speeches of Babasaheb in Government Law College, Mumbai. Again, I will give one reference of his speech, which we have displayed at the gate of our college. While going out, every student should read that statement of Babasaheb Ambedkar, that what is your role after becoming lawyer toward the society. Babasaheb says that the civilization cannot exist without advocates, because he believed that law is very foundation of the civilization, and lawyer has very significant role. So he had given the responsibility on your shoulder to contribute in the civilization. I believe our student of MP Law College will definitely take the message with them and contribute in your society while entering in our society as an advocate. I will be, thank you. Actually, I must express the thanks toward the organizers for giving me this opportunity to become part of this special program And to give this concluding remark, the Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University name expansion program organized by our NSS unit and law lecture series. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I gladly request Dr. Anju Singh ma'am to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Anushri. Respected Principal Dr. C.M. Rao sir, respected Vice Principal S.N. More sir, PG Director Dr. S.G. Shirshad sir, our today's resource person and IQAC Coordinator Dr. Aparna Kottapalle madam, my dear faculty and all students. I wish you all a very good morning to all of you. Before proposing vote of thanks, I would like to extend my best wishes on the occasion of University Name Extension Day and wish you all a very happy Makar Sankranti. On behalf of Marathwada Legal and General Education Society's Manikchand Pahade Law College, I would like to propose thanks, and at the outset, I would like to propose my sincere gratitude to our all respected and honorable members of the MLNG Society for their continuous support. I would like to express my sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. C.M. Rao sir, for his continuous guidance, support, and motivation in all our academic endeavors. I would like to thank from my heart to our Vice Principal S.N. More sir for his presidential address. Apart from this, he has played a very important role for organizing this webinar. Due to his sincere effort, today we have witnessed such a very nice lecture from Dr. Aparna madam. I would like to thank Abhay Jadhav sir for introducing the event. I would like to thank Director PG Studies, Dr. S.G. Sister sir for his implied support. I would like to thank all the faculty members for joining this webinar. I would also like to thank Ms. Anushri Deshmukh for anchoring the event very, very nicely. I would like to thank all the supporting staff and the technical team of the college for their effort in organizing this webinar. I thank all the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you all. Over to Anushri.
Thank you, ma'am. I thank the organizers for this great opportunity. With this, I'll conclude today's program. Thank you, everyone.